So today's focus video is actually a very interesting one, and it is exploring the question or the idea that if God is one, then are all religions different pathways to simply reach the same destination? And so to look at this or to explore this, I'd like to invite you to watch this video, and we will then come back for a Q&A after that and carry on with the rest of today's discussion. Enjoy this.
So here Sri Ramakrishna, he even practiced Christianity and Islam and said they lead to the same destination. How can this be true as their perception of spiritual living is vastly different from the Hindu pathway?
Yes.
Like heaven and hell in contrast to reincarnation.
You see, one of the features about Sri Ramakrishna is, first of all, the reason why I love him is another reason why it's a comprehensive vision of Hinduism. Every avatar will promote, say, Vaishnavism or Shaivism, etc. This individual came, first of all, to see if there's a reconciliation between different pathways the Hindus have adopted to make spiritual progress. So he tried Vaishnava tradition, he tried the Shaiva tradition, the Shakta tradition. He tried every aspect or every different pathways making spiritual progress within Hinduism. And the wonderful thing is he's such a powerful, dynamic personality. He was successful in every pathway tried. So he said all these pathways lead to the same destination. So far so good. Only reconcile the Hindu vision. He said no, he's a greedy fellow. He said no, I want to see if this perception that I have about ultimate reality can be checked out using other religious traditions. And this is a fantastic thing. First time an individual is not able to verify various Hindu movements and reconcile them, he said I want to try various religions. And the two religions he tried out is Christianity and Islam. These are the two major religions. He said, let me try Christianity, see if it takes me to the same destination. Let me try Islam as well, whether it takes me to the same destination. And he succeeded. And this is, he said, ultimate reality that I experience is same whether I'm using Christianity, Islam, or Hindu, any of the Hindu movements. Now people say, Mr. Lakhani, but that is a bit weird because you see the theology of Christianity or Islam is this two-life scenario. This life and the never, everlasting life as in heaven or hell. So how can this nothing with reincarnation of Hindus? So how can you say they're same? He never said they're same. He said they lead me to the same destination. You say, but how can you, Mr. Lakhani, how do you reconcile? This is how reconcile. If a person is genuinely spiritually oriented, he will basically talk about the spiritual experience he had. The doctrines that surround that spiritual experience are kind of produced by theologians, not by the master. The theologians get round and say, oh, this is what he meant. So even this idea of two-life scenario you see in Christianity was something that Christ didn't promote, but the theologians who are kind of, the father of Christianity said, okay, this is the best way to keep our flock in line so they don't jump, they don't sit on the fence. Be careful, either heaven or hell, carrot and stick. So let's plug it in. So the theologians in all these Abrahamic traditions have put in their own version regarding the spiritual experience of the master. The masters are right. Ramakrishna has tried out and it works. But the theology that goes around with these various kind of religions are seriously flawed. I'm saying it bluntly flawed. Even within certain Hindu movements, some of the theology that goes with it is flawed. And yet the masters who kind of, whether it's Ramanujacharya or Shankaracharya, the destination is the same. That is why this wonderful reconciliation we see with Sri Ramakrishna gives dignity and acceptability to all world tradition, not only Hindu traditions, in the genuine manner. He said, I see the same, at the final level, I see the same destination. You see, because when I talk about pluralism, it's many ways to be spiritual, including many different religious pathways. People say, Mr. Lakhani, how do you know? Because maybe this is called relativism, means anything goes, you're promoting anything goes. We never said that, because the destination is same. Who says it? Any textbook? No. One individual. In the history of humanity, there's only one individual who claims, not just because you read a book, he's negotiating the theology, he's actually experienced that the final level that he reaches when he uses any of the pathways is the same. Because one kind of challenge they throw in my face is this. We use this example in pluralism, saying that it's like climbing up the mountain using different pathways. So Christianity goes one way up, Islam goes the other way up, Hinduism goes the other way up. So they say maybe it's using different pathways to go to the top of the mountain. But the challenge I get, I love this kind of challenges from the atheists and from people who want to target me. They say, Mr. Lakhani, How do you know it's the same mountain they're climbing? Maybe they're climbing different mountains. What's the proof? It's a very serious challenge. The only proof, the only way to the same mountain is this one man in the history of humanity saying the same mountain is Ramakrishna. So he, in a way, gives rubber stamp to the idea of pluralism. No other prophet, ancient or modern, comes anywhere near giving this such wonderful way of reconciling various religious pathways of Hindus as well as other pathways used by other prophets. First person in the history of humanity. That's why I told you it's Avatara Varishthai.
So how can we be sure that we are all going on the same mountain or
Different mountains.
different mountain?
No, we can, unless you become Ramakrishna, you can't verify it. The only person who is given this rubber stamp is the same mountain, is Ramakrishna. Because theologically or intellectually, you can say, no, they are different mountains. How do you know? They seem to be talking a different thing altogether. But the only person who can say, no, same mountain, I'm telling you, even though they say this is the scenario, the destination is the same, is this Ramakrishna.
Once you said that when you go higher and you see people of other tradition, you feel more affinity with them.
Correct.
Is that a proof?
Yes, that's the proof. Wonderful thing is this. I said it at one of these Christian meetings. They said, Mr. Lakan, tell us about pluralism. I said, one of the beautiful kind of examples I can use, this is not Ramakrishna, this is me, a little tiddler. I said, one of the example is this. Suppose you're in a circle, you're trying to reach the center, and when you compare our directions of reaching the center, all the directions are different. You think plural, this means relativism, anything goes. All of us will have different directions to follow to reach the center. So even though we're using different compasses, different ways to reach the center, the result is going to be the same center. But you say, how can you be sure? And one of the beautiful things I just made up, just for fun. I said, if you are sincere about your own tradition and progress towards center promoted by your tradition, and somebody next to you is also using his own prescription, different direction to reach the center, as we get closer to the center, somehow, by natural, we feel affinity for each other. We don't feel like, I know it is using different angle. We just feel comfortable with it. We just come closer together as we reach the center. While if we move away from the center, we are at loggerheads with people sitting next to us. This is the proof of, in a way, lovely way of saying, this is an intellectual gymnastic to suggest the same destination. But the Ramakrishna is not intellectual gymnastic, it's experience, it's a genuine experience.
So there you go, an interesting video to explore. And to take this further and to look into this topic, I'd like to invite my colleagues. We've got Manish Bhai, Vijay Bhai, and Sita Ben. Welcome to today's broadcast. Manish Bhai, over to you to see how we can best wrestle with this very interesting topic.
Thank you, Nisid Bhai. Yes, wonderful explanation there by Jai Bhai. He's explaining in such clear terms. Vast difference between Islam and Christianity, the two major world religions, and there seems to be conflict between all three of us and many other traditions as well. So to suggest that they are all leading to the same place is many people do not agree, and the only person who's really experienced it is Sri Ramakrishna. Now, we put a video about Sri Ramakrishna experiencing God through Islam, and another video about Sri Ramakrishna experiencing Jesus Christ after learning about him. So those videos are there on our YouTube channel. And one of the challenge we get is people say, oh, we do not accept Sri Ramakrishna's experience. Maybe he was hallucinating. What is your thought on that? Was Sri Ramakrishna hallucinating about all these spiritual experiences? Vijay Bhai?
Okay, first, I think the thing is, no, he wasn't. I mean, I think what he has actually done, he's actually just vindicated the stand that Sanatana Dharma has been promoting all this time. It's not something that he's done out of the blue. It's actually this something that Hindus have always accepted, that actually there is many pathways, yes, the divine. I mean, the Upanishads have said it. Oh, so many scriptures say it already. So it's not new, but it's good to see a rubber stamp given by somebody who's actually proven it, yes. So in effect, he's just vindicating the stand of what we actually believe. And that's the beauty. I mean, the thing is this, that as Jayba mentioned, the theologians have got an agenda, it seems like. They're trying to make a club or a kind of a group, collective, to keep everybody together. And then they create all these rules. Like, I mean, in this day and age, I know many people who are not of a Hindu faith. They will never accept that somebody who is not a Christian or a Muslim will go to hell. It just doesn't make sense. No matter how good you are, why would God do that to you? So that's just out of the window. I think the other thing is also to mention is that what people forget is that the Bible was actually codified about 150 years after Christ passed away in the Council of Nicaea. Yes, that happened a long. It may be the same with Islam, and people forget that actually it was actually Caliph Uthman who actually finalized it after so many years after the passing of the Prophet of Islam. So the thing is, when you codify, then you make rules and say, okay, mine is exclusive. And that's what happens. The experiential part of the following is lost out, is made into just a pure following it blindly, not. And that's what I think Ramakrishna actually proved, that you can experience it. Forget the book. Leave the book on the side. How do you experience the divine? And we've had no issues. I mean, not only that, not only religions, also so many other pathways like music, art, dance. There's so many ways to explore spirituality. And that's the beauty about Ramakrishna Paramahansa, that actually he, no, I mean, we all say it sometimes, or books say it, he's actually shown and given a stamp to it. And that's the beauty about it, yes. Sita?
Yeah, I think he came at a really important time because Hinduism at that particular point when he was born, it was very scattered. There was nothing to reconcile all the various different strands of Hinduism. We had contact with people of other religions like Christianity and Islam, and everything seemed completely scattered. So Ramakrishna came to fulfill the purpose to say, look, all of these different pathways do lead to the same ultimate. He didn't come to start his own religious cult or own sectarian movement at all. He actually came to reconcile not just Hindu points of view, but other world religious points of view. And it came at such a critical time because, since the last 100 years, like, people of different religions are much more in contact with each other than ever throughout history. So there was a need to provide people like a toolkit to say, look, you can work with people of other religions. There's nothing to say that we are contradictory in any sense, especially at the level of, spiritual experience. You just have to, in a way, sort of forget the doctrines and dogmas that sort of surround each religion or surround each sectarian movement. Focus on the spiritual experience that they're ultimately going to lead to. That's the most important thing, rather than the sectarian movements or doctrines or dogmas that come around it.
Wonderful answer there, Sita Ben and Vijay Bhai. So Vijay Bhai, as you mentioned, Hinduism always had this pluralism idea that there are many pathways, and some people suggest that RK Mission, Ramakrishna Mission, is trying to plug in all this to sort of keep peace with this other religion. How could you please explore on how Hinduism always been pluralistic?
Yeah, I think the idea of keeping the peace, I don't think it's totally. I mean, Ramakrishna has always worked for the poor, regardless of faith, because their message is for kind of in a way like human spiritual, spiritual humanism. They've always not looked at religion. They've always looked at the person as a person, a spiritual, divine person that helped them. And that's why I think many people are surprised that a lot of the schools that run in Bengal, they have more Muslim students than actually Hindu students. You'd be surprised, yes. And I think even the Muslim families feel very comfortable sending their kids to Ramakrishna Mission School, because they will talk about divinity and about life and whatever. They don't convert anybody in that sense. But as the thing is, one thing to mention, if you notice in Hinduism, this word Sanatana Dharma, you'll never see a word saying like, oh, I don't know, like Shankaracharyanity or like Ramakrishnanity. You don't see that, do you? You never see somebody main religion after a person, because it's never been the case. I mean, that's why the word Sanatana Dharma is so beautiful. It's broad, it's universal. Think about it, it doesn't exclude anybody. Sanatana, eternal, universal, and Dharma, which is inner nature and all the things. That word to put together doesn't really make it exclusive. It actually makes it inclusive, and that's how Hinduism has always been. And that's the beauty about Hinduism. If you go to India at that ancient time, when you see that people here, I think the heathens or pagans actually put on a cross and kind of burned. India was very normal. Everybody could believe in what they would. No problem. You have Shaktos here, Vaishnavite, Shaivite. And it's no problem at all, yes, because you always believe that. That's always been the kind of it's in our genes basically to accept that, yeah. So Ramakrishna Mission is not doing anything to keep the peace as such. That's how we are, yes. But I know one thing which you find many Hindus find, I don't agree with it as well, is what I find kind of bit challenging or bit offensive is when people come and say that, oh, we are exclusive, we are an exclusive club. We are the only way to go to achieve moksha or salvation. If you do anything else, then you're going to burn in hellfire. I mean, that today, this day is just very laughable. No matter how hard somebody takes to me, I just look, even in the West, let's face it, most Christians don't accept that idea. Actually, many Christians I've met now, they also kind of accept the idea of pluralism. So when I heard the Pope Francis saying that the God is one, there are many pathways to reach him, although I was very surprised, but I think there's no other way. In the future, he'd have to say that because people just won't accept exclusive pathways anymore. It just doesn't work. Yeah, Sita?
Yeah, no, I was amazed to hear that as well, and it's so refreshing that somebody from different religion has also said the same thing, that all pathways lead to the same ultimate reality. And I think in terms of what we were saying about keeping the peace, I don't think the Ramakrishna Mission is there to sort of be a sort of social referee and say everyone stop fighting. It's not meant to be for that. It's not the purpose of Ramakrishna Mission. It's to serve humanity, and it's to just make sure that everyone is respected regardless of their spiritual outlook and their spiritual experience. That's the purpose of Ramakrishna Mission. It's the broadness of Ramakrishna is manifested through the mission, I think. So I think it's very important to realize that it's more like spiritual democracy. Everyone is welcome to go on the path that suits them the most, and it doesn't mean that anybody is any less important.
Wonderful explanation there, Sita Ben. And it's good to see this coming from Pope Francis, that is saying all religions worship same God. But when we see on the ground the work that Christian missionaries doing, and the problem us Hindus face is the amount of conversion that's going on in India and places like there, where it's like poor people are target for conversion. How do we deal with this? And do we expect changes from this Christian lobby now? Sita Ben?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a very difficult situation because Christian missionaries come in and they provide a great deal of help to these people. They give them some economic sort of something to stand on, really. So these people in a way feel indebted to them, and then they think, oh well, Christianity, that's the way to go. So it's very, very difficult sort of situation. But at the same time, if people had a proper understanding of their religion, fully, without sort of thinking, oh, it's a strange, weird religion, or to be gullible enough to believe that other people are saying, oh, what a weird religion, come and join us, then it gives us the sort of strength, the inner strength to say, no, I'm comfortable in my own particular pathway. Obviously, if it's a different situation if you're an individual and you're born into a particular religion and you actually feel attracted to another particular religion, not because you're forced into it or anything like that, but because that's what you feel more inclined to, then Hinduism wouldn't stop you. They say, okay, well, that's the path that you're more inclined to, then please go for it. But the situation of conversion is very different because there's an amount of pressure, there's an amount of, saying, look, I've given all this to you, I've done all this much for you, you must then believe in my religion. So that's a very different sort of picture. But hopefully it's sort of slowing down, and with the Pope saying these wonderful things about all religions leading to the same ultimate, hopefully the tide is changing and people will no longer feel the need to convert each other. Vijay Bhai?
Yeah, it's a major issue. I mean, I think that, as Sita mentioned, that a lot of it should do with giving them goodies, to try and entice them, and the motive is something else. Yes, the motive is not actually to help them. Motive is to get them to Christianity. I'll tell you what I think. This is personally, I think, is tremendously damaging because they keep on saying that we're not destroying their culture, we're only converting them to Christianity, but actually it's wiping a lot of cultures in the world. I mean, you just look at Americas, the Africa, and a lot of cultures have been wiped off. So in my view, this conversion is actually a dangerous thing. It destroys our diversity. But I think the other thing is that I think Hindus or at least Indians themselves have to take up this issue very seriously and work hard to preserve. I'll give you an example in Gujarat. I know that in the Dang area, which is the forest tribals, there's a huge amount of work going on there to convert. And after a while, I think the RSS, I believe in India, they went there, and what they did was they actually helped them build schools, medical colleges, and they said, look, the fact that you believe in Shabri Ma is absolutely fine, and you get a chance to preserve. And it was not easy to get them back to the original path. It's fairly straightforward. So I think one thing is that we have to make an effort as well. But to say that if all pathways lead to the same goal, it's okay to cover others. No, I would go as far as saying is that it's actually a violation of human rights to try and trick somebody or try and convert somebody to different faith. Look, everybody is divine. By converting somebody to some other faith, are you going to make him more divine? No. Yeah, he's already born as a divine being. So in the way Hindus see it, that it actually is actually wrong because you don't make somebody better, more divine. Yes. But I think it'll be very hard because some of these, some Baptist movements are very strong in conversions. They have been actually totally been, I would say, in my view, brainwashed, and they believe that they have to do this. I think recently there was one missionary who went all the way to some islands in Andaman Nicobar to convert some tribals who actually killed him because they didn't want him. But he just had this urge, and that is very dangerous. So I think these people need to realize that actually what they're doing is not really right. But I think the main thing is the Hindus should wake up and learn their own path and the greatness of the diversity that we have and work very hard to preserve it. Because the fact is that diversity has been destroyed for thousands of years all over the world. And India is lucky today. We have so much diversity. And if we lose that, we lose something very big. So we have to work really hard to preserve it.
Wonderful answer there, Vijay Bhai. You answered the question from Krishna Thakrar saying, is it okay to convert to other religions? Sitaben, do you want to add on that Krishna Bhai's question? Some may argue that based on this argument, if all religions lead to same God, is it okay to convert other people?
Yes, no, it's not okay to convert anybody really. So we all have a different starting points to each other. All of us are on a very unique spiritual journey. We may be born into a particular religious path or even a non-religious path. You could just be spiritual by nature and not necessarily follow a religion. But then it's not your responsibility or right to then go and convert other people because they've got a very different starting point. You don't know what their spiritual journey has been up until this point. So in a way, you're causing more damage. You're making them lose their spiritual compass in a way. They've got their compass going up to the top of the mountain. You then say, no, go south, then you're going to completely sort of, send them the wrong direction. So it's definitely not right to convert. Let everyone be, basically. Let everyone make their own spiritual progress in their own particular way.
Wonderful answer there, Sitaben.